Guys, so as we start to shade our shoes, all right, do not smear, all right, do not smear. Okay, as you guys go through this, one of the things that you have to keep in mind is you have to shade all the individual parts individually. Okay, I can't just say, all right, well, my light is over here, so everything here is dark and everything light over there is light. Every single part has to be shaded as its own thing. Okay, so if we just take like this little black plastic piece that you wrap the laces around on these boots, all right, if my light is coming from like this general direction, okay, then the bottom of this thing, I'm going to shade this one cube-like piece of plastic as its own thing. So if the light's coming from there, right, and again, I'm looking at my shoes, I'm looking at the reference, you guys can't see that, all right, but the light is having this sort of impact on this thing, okay? Now, I can always go back and erase part of my original drawing, okay, because I might not want a dark edge somewhere that I already have a line. Okay, so for example, if the light is hitting the top of this thing, I don't want a dark line on the top of that thing. Okay, I might just want like a little bit of a value, and that little area might be done. Okay, when I go to shade the next area, all right, the cuff area that goes around the ankle. All right, again, I'm looking at the contour of it. All right, this whole thing kind of curves out like this. All right, so I have to work my pencil in the direction that this thing actually curves. Okay, while still working with small circular strokes to make my gradation work. Okay. All right, if there's an area like back here where it kind of folds under, all right, that wasn't in my contour, but when I'm looking at it, I see that, so I need to make that area a little bit darker because that's what I'm looking at. All right, I can see that area is a little bit darker. Okay, and I keep working my way up. All right, the light's coming from here, so this plastic thing is actually causing a little bit of a shadow underneath of it. Okay, so I'm going to darken underneath of that. All right, because it's causing a little bit of a shadow there. All right, that shadow extends just a little bit into the next section too, so I might as well put that in there. Okay, it's not always the part that you're drawing necessarily that causes the edge that you see. Okay, so when I look at like something like this, you know, this area is lighter when I'm looking at these, but the area inside the shoe on the other side of this line is darker. Right, it's a black interior of the shoe. All right, so it's darker on the other side. So I darken the other side of that line. Okay, to get that edge. I don't need to darken an area that isn't actually dark. Okay, and then I keep coming up from here, you know, until I get what I'm happy with. Okay, so every single part of the shoe has to be treated as its own little thing. Okay, you can't just shade the entire shoe one way. Okay, when I get to the laces, right, each lace is going to be shaded as its own little section of rope. Okay, and depending on if there's texture in it, I want to try to capture that texture. All right, and as this thing goes around, it's going to get lighter on one side and then lighter on the other side, but I want to shade the lace as its own thing. Okay, if I have anything like these lines where I drew because it went in, it's like a fold in the shoe, in the fabric. All right, those areas have to be treated as their own. So if it's folding in, right, it's going to get darker towards the inside of that fold and get lighter as it comes out of the fold. Okay, and that will affect the fabric that's around that, right, and the lace that's around that is going to cause a shadow and things like that. So every little part has to be treated as its own little thing. All right, so if you look a little closer at what we're getting here, okay, everything is done. Now this, I'm doing all of this with a 2B. All right, so if I want something, if I want it to be a little bit smoother, I can go in here with a 4B. All right, a little bit of a softer graphite. All right, obviously it's going to make it darker, but I can soften it up with a softer pencil. Okay, and I'm working with the contours, but small circular strokes. Okay. All right, so that's what we're trying to do over the entire shoe. Okay, so when I move to each section, I'm going to treat each section as its own thing. Okay. All right, if you guys have any questions about it, just send me a picture of what you're working with.